demand for the transformation agenda, for the technology agenda. It's also a ratification of the relevance of what we are offering, our services, our ability to engage with customers and with the market. And that gives us confidence in the overall trajectory of what we have been talking about from a medium-term demand side. The short term will need to be tweaked based on what's going on. And our approach to it is to stay agile, stay close to the customers, and we'll deal it on a kind of a week-to-week, month-to-month basis till some clarity comes around as to what to expect.
Okay, I'm trying to get a little more clarity from Krithivasan in that case. Krithi, the problem seems to be in BFSI because of the problem in the US regional banks. Now, the worry is, can it get worse before it gets better? What is your total exposure to regional banks and to bank like UBS and Credit Suisse at all?
Our exposure to US regional banks is very, very immaterial. Like in an overall scheme of things. I would say on a revenue basis, it could be less than about 3% of our revenue. It's very immaterial. We own just 3% among banking alone, right?
So no danger of things getting worse before they get better? Like another quarter of lower earnings before, or another couple of quarters? I
don't want to give any guidance on immediate quarters. But this is my personal view, like overall, I'm sure the government, US government also would be concerned about the banking sector, and they would come in, like they came in to support SCB a little later. I'm sure there is a general confidence among the public, the government will not allow any more bank to fail. And so in that respect, we don't expect any failure. But like Rajesh said, the uncertainty is still lingering and it will be there for some time. So customers are likely to prioritize certain kind of projects over others, like cost-cutting projects or
defer, not cancel.
Defer, right? That's what I said, prioritization. Like our thesis is like technology spend is quite resilient, and customers need that to remain competitive in the marketplace. So they cannot say that I will not do these kind of projects. They have to do those projects. They may defer it.
Rajesh, you said the degrowth in North America took you by surprise. What was the growth that you were anticipating this quarter at the beginning of the quarter?
Oh, personally, I wanted to do 28 billion for the year. So that's another about 70-80 million.
But approximately, right?
But jokes aside, that would also bring it approximately. So we were thinking that the quarter should come in at somewhere in the 1.5 to 2% range.
Okay.
That would have also met the other side of it. It has come in at 0.6. So that's the extent of the miss. And almost entirely, I would say that I would think North America is where the shift is. So that's pretty much the story of the quarter.
NGS discretionary projects have been put on hold across which sectors? In BFSI, Krithi, please add to that. In BFSI, which pockets? And was there a spillover into other verticals as well, where discretionary projects were on hold?
There have been spillover into a few other verticals. I think largely in the manufacturing and auto sectors. Banking, financial services is one, we have seen some caution in terms of saying that, look, let's spend wisely, right? There are something going on. Let's take a step back. Let's not cancel anything big, right? But then let's spend wisely, see how we want to manage the budget for the year moving forward, right? But at least the customers whom we spoke to, we haven't spoken to all of them, but a few of them whom we have spoken, they said, look, budgets are largely intact, they're all signed off, right? But then, we will spend wisely and we will be cautious for let's say a few weeks, and then take a call on what we will do, what we will accelerate, what we will probably retard a bit. Right?
Okay, if that is the case, and which is the theme I'm getting from all of you, there should be some pent-up execution that will come in FY24, since you are all talking about deferrals and thinking. Should we expect an extraordinary effort or extraordinary showing financially in some quarter this year?
But, I said that yesterday also in the press conference, that US reacts fast. So it reacts fast on the downside, and it will react fast on the upside also. So if this current uncertainty goes away, it will be reasonable to expect a significant pop at the later part of the year. But we need to see how this develops. And again, as I said, we have stayed away from predictions from economists, etc. and all. And you are much more knowledgeable about it.
Don't pull my leg.
So, but what will happen as the rate cycle increases? How will this transmit through the system? All of that has to be seen. I think the most important part is you look at the business per se. This growth is what is the uncertain idea. But from our own operational stance, this is not something that is significantly worrying. So we need to do some repair work in US in our overall delivery structure. And this is a good time for us to execute on that. We have been overly dependent on contingent labor given the supply side disruptions that happened and the travel restrictions that were there. So we need to fix that, and that those things need to take time to get it done. We are well on our way to do that. From our peak, we are down by about 25% on the contingent labor side. We easily have another 25 to 30-40% more to be reduced to bring it down to where we would be comfortable with. So we will continue executing on that. We have a little transition to do, so that he's getting some free time on that. So there are enough things to be done during this period, and balance sheet is clean. So we don't need to worry about that per se, that how does it impact us. So it's a good time for us to consolidate, and we are very well positioned to participate in the upturn. And towards that earlier question about the deal wins, that also shows the relevance of what we are doing. So we are resonating very strongly with our clients, both transformation agendas as well as their cost optimization agendas. So whenever that bounce back comes, we will be much significant participants in those initiatives also. So from an operating company perspective, it's not from a market perspective which needs to price it, and especially from a market participant who needs to take a call on the more 3-6 month kind of a time frame, that's a different perspective. Structurally, we are on a very good wicket, and this is just one of those phases that needs to be taken through.
Seen through. I'm sure we want to take a lot of questions on what's the new theme or what's new that Krithi will bring to the table. But before that, I wanted to ask NGS, one of the answers in the press conference was very interesting. You said all conversations start with ChatGPT. I just wanted to know how will that impact the gush that you're seeing in ChatGPT and generally in AI and ML. Is this margin crunching? Will it mean more investments for you? Or does it open a vista of new opportunities? Is it positive or negative?
I think it will open a vista of new opportunities, number one. I think it's going to accelerate the technology adoption. Things will become extreme agile in terms of our own ability to deliver and customers' ability to absorb these technologies. Both sides, I think it will be extreme agile as I see it.
Okay.
And I think like any other technology, it will go through its maturity phase, but it's a very, very promising development in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Krithi, just 2 quick questions
Sure.
on BFSI. The exposure to US regional banks is less than 3% of your BFSI pool, but you do work for Credit Suisse and UBS.
That's right.
Has there been any impact?
No impact as of the last quarter.
Okay.
But if you ask me, like, would there be an impact? Yes, there would be some projects as Credit Suisse gets merged and the integration process starts on. Some of the discretionary work they were doing, they may defer or they may rethink on whether the discretionary work is any more valid, right? Like is required. So
There
that
may be
could be
cancellations.
there could be some cancellation of discretionary work, but that I see it's very easy to assume there would
How
be some.
big is CS and UBS? Can you give us a number
Is
combined?
it like 1%, 2%?
I don't think I want to give a number at a specific account level. If I have not given to you before, I don't think it's appropriate for me to start a new practice.
Right. And just to understand how widespread the problem in BFSI is, what percentage of your clients, would you say a majority of your BFSI clients have put their discretionary projects on hold, or is it less than that? Any range?
See, it's not that all discretionary projects are put on hold. Okay, like those projects where they think the ROI is going to take long.
Yes.
Okay, those projects get put on hold. But somebody would you call cloud a discretionary project or a non-discretionary project? Like we keep signing cloud deals even now, and cloud deals keep going on. So there are each banks or institutions, individual situations vary. It depends on where they think there is a immediate opportunity. And
so just to spin it in another way, how many BFSI clients have put projects on hold? Then how many clients?
There would be a significant number of them. But it's not that. Again, I just want to I want to ensure the message is right. It's not all projects get on hold. Every client, there would be few projects they may want to defer here and there. So it's not that it's a widespread contagion that we are looking at. It is. There are cancellations across the board. I'm sorry, correct myself. There are deferrals across the board.
Okay, now, Rajesh, one of the factors that you all mentioned in your press conference is that the offshore labor was expensive. And it is. I mean, one can see, even from the unemployment numbers in the US, there are 2 jobs for every 1 person. Here, attrition is going down in India. If one assumes that because of the rate hikes, the job scene in the US gets a little easier, the wage inflation recedes. It has to. That's the way the policy is headed. And attrition is down here. Is your dream margin within reach? I mean, you missed that 25% exit this time, but is it round the corner?
So there are enough tailwinds, what you said, both on offshore as well as on-site. There are good tailwinds. There are headwinds also. From a headwind perspective, return to normalization, we are still running at less than half of our typical travel cost. We do hope that it will not go back to its peak from a percentage of revenue perspective, but it will increase. Other elements of our capacity also, we need to see how the return to office environment plays out. So there are headwinds, but there are tailwinds also, which gives us confidence that the margin trajectory should definitely be positive. Now, what is that number? That is in good hands now, so you can grill him.
No, is the delta immediately up? Is 24.5 the bottom? For the reasons I'm saying, or even
see, like Rajesh mentioned, we have good tailwind. Like as attrition goes down, in fact, yesterday Samir was explaining, like he was talking about if you can call it a cost of attrition. He was putting about, about 140 bips or something. So that's a tailwind available to us. It's not that attrition is going to come down to the previous level immediately. Over a period of time it comes, so the tailwind is available to us. And we need to control the headwinds in terms of additional costs. Then if you ask me, I won't say it's immediately possible, but it's definitely we can have a shot at it.
Okay. Well, I must ask you this before they tell us that our time is up. What are you going to do new?
I'm not going to anything new. See, all of us have been here for, in TCS, if somebody is 20 years, we call them a new kid in the block, right? So all of us have been here for so long. And whatever we've been doing it together. So it doesn't mean, so just because there's a CEO change, as I was explaining before, it need not mean there's a strategy or structure change. We'll go through things like whatever is required, we will do. I don't expect anything new.
When are you appointing the new BFSI head?
Due course of time.
But if he's not doing anything new, if it's going to be business as usual, why are you going at all, Rajesh?
Is he going because he wants to do something new, or?
No, I mean, if no change was merited, then why call it
a wide world? Let's look outside a bit.
Okay.
And yes, can you talk a bit about this order book? The question is, if your order book is so strong, $10 billion in Q4, $34 billion for the year gone by, shouldn't you set you up for good growth next year?
Absolutely.
But yet, it should, but yet there is so much uncertainty.
No, it's a question of, executing well on that. And second thing is that what makes us feel confident is the fact that it's not lumpy deals that constitute this $10 billion. It's a very, very homogeneous and heterogeneous, the way they look at it, across geographies, across verticals, and in the range of 50 to 100 million, right, kind of deals, right, large number of them, right. In Europe especially, I think we have closed the number of deals and the total value of the deals that we have closed in this quarter is more than what we have what we closed actually in the previous 3 quarters, right? So which means that, look, Europe, as we called out last quarter, I think some green shoots are emerging, and I think that's shaping up, right? So if I look back and see that, look, okay, what we accomplished in the last year and compare how we handled the 2008 financial crisis situation, where we are today, what kind of deals that we have, I think we should be able to execute this well, and we should be able to grow from here.
Clients have signed the dotted line on deals. The only risk is they say that we're not going to do the deal on 15th of April, we're going to do it on 15th of September, right? They push,
absolutely.
Push it back
No, we have not experienced cancellations. We have experienced certain deferment because, as I said earlier, let's spend wisely. Let's not be stupid. Take a step back. There are a lot of noise around. But as Krithi said, the government was quick to step in. Even in the case of Switzerland, the government really stepped in and provided a lot more guarantees than what we normally see in this kind of situation. So UBS CS is in a hurry to get things done, but they have enough time, right? The way I put it, right? So it's not something that we have to see that, look, cancellations or rationalization of that spend between the two organizations is going to happen quickly, right?
I'm going to disobey your team and my team and squeeze in one more question. They're warning me that the time is up. Rajesh, just finally, is the big problem that TCS faces its sheer size? I mean, 615,000, twice the size of what Indian Railways, steering that ship will mean slower growth?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you look at competitors that are larger than us, they're doing well. So I don't think that is based on it. TCS has to play its game, and we are on a multi-year transformation journey, and that needs to be executed well. Our starting point is different, our strengths are different, and with our size, our value creation is also very different. The business model is different. So we need to find our path, and we laid out that road pathway to 50 billion. I still believe that that's the guiding pathway, and towards doing that, there are many things that we need to do incrementally and do. So we need to watch out for growth. There is a minimum level of growth that is required in our business to make sure that it stays healthy. But beyond that, I think as I said in the past, the strategic agenda is much more broader, and we need to execute on all of that. So size is actually a big asset towards that. The reason many of the customers, the kind of deals that you're seeing, they love the fact that we have the full portfolio. They love the fact that we have stability. They like the fact of the company's philosophy and the way we approach it. And we are still scratching the surface in terms of the kind of relationships that we can have, both number of relationships as well as the depth of the relationships. So,
thank you, Rajesh, Krithi, and NGS. And I'm going to take a rain check from both of you, an exit interview and an entry interview before you sign off, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Let me hand it over to the studios, and in a bit we will have Samir and Milind joining us.